Good evening. Welcome to Think About It Using Common Sense. I'm a little late today, but it happens sometime. Um, the title of my podcast this evening is Between a Rock and a Hard Place. And the reason why I came up with that title is because that's where I feel as though we are, or I am. Um, Meaning that, it's hard you want to get away from talking about racism, uh, killings, uh, hypocrisy among our elected officials that has seemed to have penetrated our highest court. But I can't get away from it. And there's so many other things to talk about. But just with racism again, and when you talk about and seeing how our young people, not just the old, the young, is or has been um, manipulated or indoctrinated or whatever you want to call it. And anytime you have young people picking up guns and killing innocent people because you don't like the color of their skin, this is a major, major, major problem. Not only for the people that's uh, at the brunt of this violence that's being uh, put on them, but the young people that's doing it. To think that there are people, young children, and that's what they are, that has been indoctrinated with such hate that they think nothing of taking a human life. Now let's break this down and examine this for a moment. Where did this come from? Racism originated in America. And even now, I'm hearing that they don't want it taught in the schools. Not racism, but Black history, the things that Black people went through, which could shine some light on the predicaments that they're in today. They don't want they don't want it taught. I can understand why, but you have to come to reality and accept why these things happen. Nothing happens on its own. And for children 18 years old to be carrying this type of hate within themselves to the point that they think nothing of killing and shooting down innocent people because they don't like the color of their skin. Because if you ask them, why are you racist, or why do you hate people of color, they probably could not, would not be able to give you an acceptable answer that has some type of legitimacy or substance to it, other than what someone has taught them. And this should be something that this country should be standing on their heads protesting, not just people of color, but everybody. But when you have public officials, people of high authority, people that's being looked up to as leaders, condoning, instigating, perpetrating such behavior, violence, where does the blame really belong? Several months ago, an incident, something similar. Young man came across uh, uh, state lines, automatic weapon. I think he killed a couple of people and wounded another. Went to court, got offered a job. Saw a picture in the paper, him shaking the ex-president's hand, congratulating him. I don't know, matter what, there should be no glory in the taking of any life under any circumstances. And when you do glorify it, this is what we see happen. The perpetration of violence begets violence. And I'm not blaming what I'm getting ready to say here now. I'm not blaming Hollywood for for some of these violent acts. But if you are a product of your environment and you have children sitting in front of TV and watching violence, and you can say, well, the parents should be able to separate or have or monitor what their children watch on TV, and you're absolutely right. But when they don't, and this is what children are watching, if you're a product of your environment, what we see here today is a manifestation of us all. And we need to stop talking and need to stop doing. We need to be role models. Or maybe we are. Maybe this is what we are. We are hypocrites. We are people that profess to do one thing and do another. And this is what we see happening. And then you are, uh, uh, let's say I can't say you're, well, excited, yes, but you act shocked when you see these horrific things happening by our children and people in our neighborhoods, people throughout the country. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible, and we have got to do more and stop talking about it. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen. And I'm talking about us because, and when I say us, I'm talking about the people, the poor, and the so-called middle class. I'm not talking regardless of the color, because we all living in it. The rich is not experiencing what we're going through. And I keep saying this over and over. We're going to have to start doing things for ourselves. And become an active part in society, in our neighborhoods. I stopped this morning. I was taking my granddaughter to school, and I stopped in McDonald's to get her orange juice and like a little light breakfast sandwich. So when I got there, it was this Caucasian lady. She was standing there waiting when I got there. So I put my order in, and I waited for a while, but I got my order, my orange juice and breakfast sandwich. And this young lady, she was still standing there. She didn't say a word. So another lady came up. I'm just mention this because it could play a part. A lady of color, and these were colored people in McDonald's that was doing the servicing, running the restaurant in the morning. So this other lady came up and ordered something right away. She got her orange juice and a sandwich, and meanwhile, this Caucasian lady still standing there. So finally, I mean, her patience was much better than mine in situations like that. But anyway, she came up nice and said, she said, "Well, I've been standing here." She said, "These people, customers came up, and you waited on them right away, and I've been standing here." She said, "It's not right." So the people that was working in McDonald's, they made some remark as if, "Oh, well, just wait, we'll get to you." And they was really rude the way they was speaking to this woman, and I thought the woman really had superior patience, man, more patience than I would have had. And so she took and said a few words about how lousy the service was. And she took a sandwich and juice and went out. But I could tell right away she was hot and had every reason to be. So I told the manager that was there, I said, this was wrong. I said, the lady was absolutely right. I said, she was here before I was. And he just gave me, and I walked out. And as I got in my car and pulled off outside, excuse me, I saw the lady walking up the street, and I stopped, and I blew my horn, and she stopped, and I told her, I said, what they did was totally wrong. And I said, I told them what they did to you was wrong. And she, just the fact that I did that, and she had support from me, knowing that what she did and what those people did to her was wrong. She smiled and she said, "Thank you." And I could tell that that made a difference, because what they did to this lady, if she was at a crossroad of her opinion toward people of color, you know, the way those people acted to her and responded to her being a customer and her being a Caucasian, I'm sure her attitude would have been, "Hey, look, black people, this, they negative, they don't do that." And I mean, and I can see why sometimes we have to check ourselves, because they did not have to treat that woman like that. She was absolutely right in saying what she said. And I think by me coming up and confirming being on her side just showed her that all people of color are not that way. And they're not. And just like all Caucasian people are not that way. Even though that their fathers and forefathers before them that was had had slaves, they passed that thought down or up, to their children and their children, and nothing changed. And then on this same day and time, when you have our elected officials supporting this type of behavior, questioning our democracy, questioning our election when you know that it was legitimate, and playing on the fears of people when in all actuality, when there's a talk of inflation and things start the prices getting higher and things are getting scarce. Well, if you notice, that's kind of like fuel. That's fuel that's there to be put on racism or that type of seed that's being planted. That's kind of like fertilizer because people start looking at things now. If you're talking about blacks, oh well, if this person of color have this and I'm going through tough times and I don't have it, then they see a reason why. But that's at the end of the day, people. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the people that's in control. We're being manipulated and being controlled. We have to take control of our own lives, our bodies and minds, and we have to start thinking and we have to start using some common sense. It's terrible, terrible wrong in a country when we have our young people taking up weapons and planning mass murders and carrying them out. There is no justification for this. Then, when you talk about our highest court, the Supreme Court, that shouldn't people talking about, oh, stacked. Well, one president has this many judges and that person has that many judges. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter whether a Supreme Court justice is Democrat or Republican. The only thing should matter is justice and the rules of law. That's the only thing should matter. I don't care if it's Republican or you're Democrat. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You should not be able to stack the Supreme Court. You should not have a Supreme Court justice where his name is coming up in the midst of some of difficult behavior or in illegal behavior. Even his name not there saying that what he did was illegal, but being in that environment. These things should not happen because that's an automatic disqualification. You disqualifying yourself by not upholding the rules of laws that you took an oath to uphold. You automatically disqualified. You shouldn't have to go before anybody. You disqualified yourself. When people become so saturated. People become so saturated with hate, and you don't even know where the hate comes from. You're just a hater. You're sick to the point that you just mass murder, kill people. And we don't have that. We don't have that type of mass murder that the people of color are carrying out. Even though we're the victims, we're not doing that. If we're the victims, then why is it that it's such hate that's for people of color when the people of color are the ones on the bottom that have gotten the worst deals of everything? I don't understand it. Is it that much hate? You hate immigrants when the foundation of this country was built with immigrants. I understand that there's rules and regulations and things we have to do or do. Well, okay, do it. But this type of behavior is totally unacceptable. And it's going to cause a lot of destruction. And it already is. Because at a time like this, when our country and the world should be together, we are with the war in Ukraine and other wars around the globe that we really don't even know about. They talking about nuclear weapons. Just the talk of nuclear weapons in a war is enough to make everybody should be shaking in their shoes. This is serious, people. The fact that the fact that we as a people are accepting this as if it is nothing, as if it's like it's just a common thing. That has to tell you where's our mindset here. That's why I'm gonna open that. I have to open this back up. Excuse me 1 second. Whereas I promised to talk more about it. If people only knew death is not the ending but the beginning, because people they'll pay up time. If anyone think that they can just do whatever they want to do in this world and it's okay, then there would be no justice. There would be no justice. What's the point? You say here's a person that loves humanity, that helps humanity and try and help people and feed people and do this, all the good, and this person passes away. Here's another person that comes along, then robbed and mistreated everybody, then robbed from seniors and stole from people in wheelchairs and don't care anything about people, and they pass away. So now, where's the justice? Where's the justice? They both lived their life and they both passed away. So where's the justice? Think about it for a second. Where's the justice? If there's no justice universally, then how can we even have a certain thing in this physical system that we live in, this physical realm of things, where justice exists, such a thing? You see, where justice existence, justice exists when this physical body ceases to exist. Let's see. Okay. Uh, the human body is a manifestation of the consciousness to manifest itself out of a need to survive in the environment being created in its physical world. This explains to me why humans cannot live on other planets. Getting back to the consciousness and the physically missing leg, well, I think I mentioned in the prior podcast, whereas in the consciousness, the leg was still there. Does consciousness exist beyond the body? I would say yes, based on the fact that there is an adaptation, which means existing prior, by which your development becomes best suited to your environment. Upon your physical death, your consciousness realizes it has lost its physical connection as it tries to connect to the physical world and cannot. Now, see, remember when I told you about the physical, the leg? Uh, my I went to the hospital to visit my uncle who had his leg amputated, and he told me that until he looked down and saw his leg wasn't there, he thought his leg was there. He felt it. You could feel it, but yet it was gone. So that's what I mean about the conscience, about the human body. The human body is our connection with the physical world, and that's why through adaptation, everything that we have and how this body is constructed is what we need in order for us to survive in this physical world. Okay. Now, the consciousness does not die. When this physical body ceases to exist, when this physical body dies, the consciousness does not die as it struggles to make physical contact, while over time losing its consciousness to the development of what it is. Now, did you hear what I just said? Now, I'm going to read that again. Upon your physical death, your consciousness realizes it has lost its physical connection as it tries to connect to the physical world and cannot. Okay? The consciousness does not die as it struggles to make physical contact, while over time losing its consciousness to the development of what it is. Now, before I go any further, I want to explain something. There is this physical world we live in where everything is physical, things manifested from thought. There is this manifestation revealed. You say, where am I going with this? The consciousness without a body struggles to make contact while losing contact and establishing a living personality based on every thought, act, and character of the human form which it developed while living in its physical body. Now, what I'm saying is this: we are alive. Okay. Now, life comes in all different types of forms as we can look around and see. Some of the animals that has the same, almost the same identical, it's not identical. If it was, it would be human, but they almost have the same uh, DNA as humans. Okay. So all types of living forms. So all types of life forms. Everything that we do, everything that we think is based on our level of consciousness. That's why out of my studies, I came up with the saying your world is your level of consciousness. So getting back to the consciousness, excuse me, and the development uh, character of the human form, which is developed while living in a physical body. Example. Okay, here's an example I'm trying to say. In the baking of a cake, okay, all the ingredients are put into a mixing bowl, placed in the baking pan, put into the oven, and a cake is formed of all its ingredients. Okay. Now, the look and feel of the cake are determined by time, heat, and temperature. Over time, after death, your thoughts, character, and way of living while on earth are out there in this universal oven, baking in the out in in this since consciousness is living, um, since consciousness is living, your cake is in the form of a living spiritual personality. So, you know, people can choose. People can choose to believe whatever it is that you want to believe, whatever's been put before you, whatever makes sense to you from the knowledge that has been put before you, you have been subjected to. And sometimes we have to question, we have to question ourselves, question the motives, question why we think the way we think, and why we do the things that we do. Because there's a reason. It's a reason for everything. And we just shouldn't be so uh, eagerly to, accept just what someone tell us. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. This is your life that you have to live and die for yourself. Go through transition for yourselves. And I think if people had one of the biggest problems with humans today is the lack of understanding. Um, if you believe, I mean, there was a time when I was a kid, I really, really, truly believed in Santa Claus. As I grew and began to find out and begin to think, and I realized, hey, you know what? Mm-mm. There was a time that I believed the only way I could make money was work for someone. And I'm sure there's a lot of people to this very day believe this. But it's not. To this very day, I had no idea what I was capable of. No idea. Because it had never been taught. It's never been put before me. And I could went through my life being just as happy doing nothing or doing what I thought was something in all actuality, just a waste of time and a waste of my life. Because I think we all, being human, is special. Being human is special. really is. But the fact of the matter is that we have submitted ourselves or allowed ourselves to be controlled, manipulated, and therefore allowed to put ourselves in a mental prison. That we all are in the same boat now, the same boat on the same planet, fighting and killing one another. And while the people in charge is making profits, big profits, off of our ignorance. And I mean, the system requires profits. But the problem is the greed. The problem is people have gotten so greedy, it's a sickness. Because what in the world, here's a guy I heard on the news this morning. I mean, this stuff that I get off the news. I'm not sitting here making up anything. I heard on the news this morning. This owner of a business. I don't call names. I don't have to call names, but billions, quarter of maybe worth maybe a $500 billion. Half a trillion is $500 billion. You know, $1 million is $1,000. That's a million. A billion is $1,000 million. A trillion is $1,000 billion. Now he have all this money. Now he has 500 billion there. 1 billion is 1,000 million. They say he had 500 billion, and he is upset because his employees want to start a union, or his employees want a bathroom break or something, or his employees want an extra half an hour for lunch or something. What the heck is going on, man? You couldn't spend $500 billion if only way you couldn't spend it unless you just gave it away for something that you yourself put value to. You can't. But what's wrong with that? If it was treating people fairly, there would be no need for a union. So apparently something is wrong. If your employees feel like there's a need for a union, and here you are half a trillionaire, what's going on? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Let people give them something. Your employees is happy, everybody's happy, they living good, they spending money, the economy is good. Have you ever thought maybe that's why the economy is bad? Because the rich is holding up everything. Now that I think about it, if the rich don't want to pay you the money, you're charging too much for everything, you don't have any money. So guess what? Now the economy is bad. Now you got inflation. You should got too few people with all the money. I'm not talking against them. I'm just talking pro economic system surviving. So we bring this stuff on ourselves. And that's why, between a rock and a hard place, I'm tired of talking about it. But guess what? You can't stop talking about it because people don't seem to understand. This election coming up. How in the world can a person even run? How is it that a person even be able to run in an election in a democracy that they don't even believe in and make it known? How is this possible? And people vote for him. What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen? The same thing been happening up until now. Right now in 2020, in May, we are in a inflation, depression, whatever you want to call it. We're hurting. The economy is going. You know why the economy is going? Because the money is no money. All that stimulus money that was given went right back to the rich, and people don't spend it there, and then they had no more money. You know, they talk about all these jobs. How you gonna have all these jobs now? You got inflation, ain't nobody spending no money. So if ain't nobody spending, you can't hire nobody. How you gonna pay them? So where's all these jobs they talking about? You got gas, regular gas, almost $5 a gallon. Food, you got to work. You have to work an hour. You have to work. Some people have to work an hour and a half to buy a sandwich. Think about it now. Think about it. You got to sit there and start writing down where this money's going. You just can't spend, because you look before you know it, you be broke. That's where budget come in at. You know, we help each other. If we help each other, we can get through this. Not fighting and killing one another, calling each other names. Because at the end of the day, we're in the same boat. Blacks, whites, people, Asians, immigrants, all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. And once you start getting to the point whereas, well, I'm going to pull in this and I'm going to pull in that. I mean, that's why I can understand. I can understand people working together and having their uh saying, okay, they taking care of that neighborhood. And here I am with a bad reputation. I'm saying I want to move in your neighborhood. You not wanting me in your neighborhood may not have a thing to do with with racism or me being of color. It could be me being having a bad reputation, and all I have, the wealth that I've had in all my life, is tied up in my real estate. And knowing that if you move into my neighborhood, my real estate's going to come down. No, I don't want you in. I don't care if you're rainbow color. That's the reality of it. So when people are building up their stuff, and you saying they don't want, you have to. We got to change people like now. I'm a I'm a philosopher. I'm a life consultant. I've owned businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. I started uh, so many businesses. Started Mexican food business. I used to plant business and rent plants and all kinds of stuff I did. So I'm at a point now where I realize that life is about purpose. Having purpose is giving you, it's that universal life that is in you. You have to be able to do something that's worthwhile. And I mean, they didn't have to do it. I called the school, neighborhood school, and I look at these kids out here. I said, these kids, they need. I have something that's called a real life awareness program. So I said, you know what? Maybe if I call the school, call the counselor school, talk to her, make an appointment to sit down and talk, and just to see if I can come in there and give these children a real life experience, paint them a mental picture of how life was and how it is now and the opportunities that they're missing. Because when I was coming up, I didn't have it. I didn't have any of it, man. It's not even put before me. And they have it all and just wasting it. And I say, even if necessary, the parents can come and sit with, because the parents need to talk too. Parents need to talking to, because these children came through them. They're their responsibility to teach them, to nurture them, give them love and education, and guidance, spiritual knowledge, direct them in the right path. So I called the school twice. One of the ladies that I talked to, I explained to them. They said, "Oh, here's the number to the counselor." Twice. Never emailed, called twice. Never even heard from them, which is fine. I understand you can't. Everybody that call, you don't do that. But I mean, if I wasn't asking for no money, I'm calling out of concern. I'd already went to had my uh, FBI approval to go into schools and talk. So, but just to even see, no, nothing, nothing. Um, I don't understand. Uh, Parking authority. Oh my goodness, they need to. You know what? This parking authority, the people in this city, Philadelphia, they need to do something about the parking authority. These people just come out and take everything you got from you, charge you whatever they want to charge you, and the way they set it up, they have three of these money making machines in the same block. Excuse me, in the same block. But you got to put your money in if one could be across the street, you could be parked here. If you put it in the wrong one, even though it's on the same block, they come along and write your ticket. It's automatic confusion just so they can write your tickets. Yeah. They don't even come out of Philadelphia. They charge people what they wanted to take your car. Do you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. True story. I had I saved up, I put this car on layaway. Okay. It was a 94 Corvette, mint condition, show car. I had it parked in front of my house, no tickets. No tickets. I come home one day and there's a boot on my Corvette. I'm crazy. What the world happened here? Right. I called the parking authority. One lady, she gave first time I called, they give me one figure, said that I owed $3,000 back parking ticket. And I don't have no tickets on the car. They went back 45 years. They went back 45 years and said I owed them 10,000. First they said 3,000 stuff. Said I owed them 10,000. Called the head of the park authority. I went to city council. Okay. Nobody could do anything about the Philadelphia Park. I went down to court, told them the money that I was making. They gave me a payment plan that I couldn't afford if my life was dependent on it. Okay. So I decided what I was going to do was I was going to picket the parking authority. So I got me a sign. I got up every morning for a whole month. Said the parking authority is a disgrace to the business profession and should be shut down or change their ways. And I got 250 signatures, and I went to city council I think every Wednesday or something at the time. And they finally came up with an amnesty program. I guess other people was trying to do that too, but to get to the meat of it, somebody in the parking authority wanted my car because what they did, they sold my Corvette. And I had to figure out, pressure them to find out how much they sold my car for. The tires on that car was worth of almost $2,000. I mean, it was a mint car. I put it on that way now. It was a beautiful car. They sold my car for $2,400. Somebody in the parking authority got that car. There was nothing I could do about it. And I had a van because when you have a car like that, you don't ride that car around every day. So I had a van. It did have a couple tickets, but I had a payment plan. I was paying that off. So the head of the parking authority told me, he said, look, I advise you to get those tags out of your name. He said, otherwise we're gonna tow that too. So he told me that. Now I had made up my mind that if they had towed my van, I was going to call the police and tell them to come and lock me up just to make sure I didn't do anything foolish. But just so happened that uh, I didn't. They didn't get the. They didn't boot my vein. But that's the difference of a mindset, of someone that thinks about things before it happens. I'm human, just like everybody else is human, but we act differently to certain situations. Some people would have just went off, but instead of me going off, I went off. I was going off, but I was going to handle it differently. I went there and I protest, didn't work, but some good came out of it. So I said, well, maybe the creative things work in mysterious ways. Maybe that was needed for someone to get out and at least it helped some people because they was towing people's cars like I mean old people, people in wheelchairs. They were just taking their cars, going in their backyards, taking them, selling them. It was just wrong. It's just wrong. But nobody does anything. So I guess as far as the parking authority is concerned, it's okay. They could, you could tell they making millions and millions of dollars. I think not too long ago they said somebody they stealing money within the organization. You don't have to just take somebody's car like that. You don't know if they needed to go to the hospital. You don't know if they needed to go work. You don't know if they needed to pick their kids up from the babysitter. Don't care. They just take your vehicle and sell it. And it's okay. It's not okay. And these politicians, these city council people who come around every election time and plead for our vote, and we vote these people into office, and they know and see exactly what's going on, but they do not hear the cries of the people that they come around and ask to vote for them. Once they get elected, you don't hear from them. I had a problem the other day. I called my city council lady. Wasn't in. Left a telephone number. Nothing. I voted for this woman. They don't care. I'm going to call her back Monday. You know, people, I'm telling you, people do not care. We between a rock and a hard place. Number one, we hard on ourselves, and people be above us is hard on us. We right in the middle with nothing but pain and struggle and doing it to ourselves. We got to start working together. And this is terrible, though. This is really, really, really terrible. I'm saying that boy that did that horrific crime in Buffalo, New York. Whew. That's a major, major, major wake up call. Excuse me. Major. If one kid can do it, any kid can do it. That boy has a mother and father. I mean, I hear on the news people getting killed. I mean, just every day lives are being taken. But I'm telling you, this is not the ending. This is the beginning. You're gonna have to pay for this. It's all different types of life forms out here. And once this physical body has ceased to exist, which is the captain of your ship, then you can only be what you are. It is all types of life forms. We need to study. We need to study and understand more about life, about our capabilities. Start working on these things because the hereafter is only going to take you where you have been. Understand? So, um, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and we need to focus more on education, life, spirituality, and just sometimes I don't think we have to. People have to work as hard as they think they have to do in order to reach a certain level of intelligence or to really start developing themselves. I think you just need to start doing a process of elimination. That's all. Just start loving yourself. Once you start loving yourself, then you're going to inspect everything that enters your body, anything that enters your mind. And start reading, stimulate your mind. Just like you can go to a gym, right? You go to a gym. They tell you, take this, do so many reps of this, so many reps of that, this and that, and you build this up, build it up, and you do it. And before you know it, you go look in the mirror, bam, you got a whole new body. But the mind operates on the same principle. You got to develop the mind. You really do. And it's not complicated. It's not complicated. And people got see a lot of things, people just want to charge you for everything. You know. That's why I wrote an article, All We Are is a Means to a Dollar. Something you have to start doing for yourselves. Everything you have to charge people for everything. You want to make $1 million overnight. For what? That's the problem. The problem is everybody wants to get in your pocket. Everything is passed on to the consumer. Everything. So guess what? We need to stop consuming so much. Half the stuff you consume, if you really think about it, you don't need to. You got obesity. Every time I turn around, people are eating. Stop eating so much. You don't have to eat that much. Not only eating causes obesity, but it also causes sickness. You got all these chemicals and preservatives in the food. Still boggles my mind how with all this technology and stuff, why we have to buy spring water, why we can't have a filtering system that water comes out your house, uh, just like purified water you buy in the store. I don't understand it, but it's money. It creates jobs. All right, so okay, that's it. All right, create jobs. But the company don't have to make $1 billion profit off of it. Let them make 500 million and sell the water for 50 cents a bottle or something like that, or do half and half. You know, let the water company have a contract with the city water. You know, do it that way. Let people. We got to figure this thing out so people can get some easy living. I heard on the news the other day. Some countries, I don't know anything about it, based on only what I'm hearing. In some countries, education is free. Some countries, uh, medical hospitalizations and stuff is free. A lot of programs that we pay for are free. But the free was better, I don't know. But I know one thing. if we take care of ourselves, we can live as long as we want to, or as long as we take care of this body. It's no, I have yet to see anybody say the heart can only beat a certain amount of times. The heart is like this. I saw this scientist. They had this ball on this like a wire thing, right? Once they started, and the way that the motion was, the ball could just be if nobody touches it. That ball could be for 1,000 years. Just move in the same direction. Nothing happens. So what about the heart? The heart muscle. That's how it's set up. Now, if I like, I know I can only base things on me and my lifestyle. I have literally abused my body and my mind. I did it. Um, Being young, you don't think you feel like you're invincible and this and that. But I was blessed because I did. First of all, my uh, I was raised in the South where we grew our food in the garden. Uh, we want a chicken, we go out in the backyard and kill a chicken and pluck the feathers off of him, put him in a pot, and there you go. So the fertilizer that I had when my body when I was being developed was different from these children today. I wasn't brought up on fast food, McDonald's, and grease, all this chicken and different types of sauces and all that kind of stuff. Stuff kills you, man. Kills your body. Like these kids today, they said these young kids today, well, half of them diabetes, 5, 6 years old. It's crazy. But when you look at them, they've been sugar, sodas, 90 grams. Oh my goodness. Ice cream, cookies, cakes, bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, mac and cheese, all that stuff, man. That's diabetes 101. And that's why this stuff, these people have really, these kids are gonna be in trouble. They're in trouble. They're already in trouble. But they're gonna start paying up when they get around 35, 40. And I've never, I'm blessed. I'm 74. I've never been to the doctor. I just went to the doctor here recently. Um, the virus, never even so much as had a sniffle. It never stopped going out. From the time they said the virus was here, I never stopped going out. Really didn't even wear a mask half the time. But I did take the shots. When they came out with the shots, and after I did a little investigating, a little reading and talking to people, well, then I found out that, you know what, with the way my immune system was, if I take the shot, it could really still abuse, you know, it wouldn't affect my immune system in a certain way. It could also be a positive thing. So I took it. I didn't feel the shots. I never after I took the shots, I didn't even know I had taken the shots. And and I'm no different from anyone else. We can't do it. Our bodies is equipped to do these things, but we have to understand it. And also the air that we breathe. Your body get more nourishment from the air that you breathe, more so than the food that you eat. So you go ahead and do all these reps and you're out here running and the air bad. Gee, I mean, I don't know. You're between a rock and a hard place. You know, how good is that? So that's something you need to think about. But then if you start, you can't put yourself in like a oxygen tank because if you do that, then when you do come out the oxygen tank, then the air around you is going to be poisonous to you. So you're between a rock and a hard place. You have to do it sparingly on all sides. But and also too, we work and we want to build bodies and want to do this and do that. But at the same time, you're doing it. You want to do it not just to be healthy, but you want to do it to be healthy to also support your purpose. You want to get a purpose in life. It's important, just as important, to have a positive purpose in your life. You know, um, and I think we all have that purpose, and that is to strive to be the best that is possible for a human being. I think that should be the goal of every human being. Love yourself and be the best, because we are humans for a reason. We are human because we are the best. But because we're not functioning in that state of mind, I think the planet, from what I'm seeing, this planet would be better off without humans. Seriously, for real, for real. So, it's a lot to think about. But for one thing for sure is we have no one to blame for all this stuff but ourselves. You know? And a lot of these people that's out here telling people what to do and doing this, just remember, if you tell someone to go in a direction, and that direction is the wrong direction, you have to answer for that person. Everything that you do, every thought that you think, you have to answer for that. You may not think so. You may not even be thinking along those lines, but I'm here to tell you, you have to answer for that, because death is not the ending, but the beginning. It's pay up time, because it's all different types of life forms, people. This is a real world, and everything that we do is real. And just because you don't think it, don't mean it's so. So whether you know it or not, regardless of what you believe or not, and to me, I don't want to take no chance if I'm playing. I don't be playing Russian roulette, and I'm thinking there's no bullet in the gun, and find out there's a bullet. So and by that statement, I mean that we're playing Russian roulette with our lives by not trying to develop ourselves to our highest potential, by us taking in all this negativity, by us doing all this negative stuff, these negative things. Because it says, so you sow, so shall you reap. Your world is your level of consciousness. This physical body is a manifestation part of the brain, is what's needed in order for this spirit and consciousness within us to develop for the future. You know, because like I said, you don't remember no beginning. Your eyes open, and this is who you were. This is where you was at this point in time. But who knows? Who knows the next time your eyes open where you're gonna be or who you're gonna be? But now we're at a crossroad. We can have some say so in that. Um, anyway, between a rock and a hard place, I don't want to talk about racism and these judges anymore, because we're gonna have to start thinking for ourselves, and all this talk and talk and talk. And I feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place. So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, as you say. And we got to stop. We got to stop being like the greyhound and a greyhound race chasing that fake rabbit. We got to stop doing that. You know, that's what keeps that. That's what drives that greyhound to the finish line. They put that fake rabbit to a truck, and that greyhound be running trying to catch that rabbit, not knowing that the rabbit is fake. So, but and that seems to be the way people are today. We're chasing a fake rabbit, you know, but the price is too high when you find out that the rabbit is not fake. Some people never find out. They never find out. They spent their whole life chasing a fake rabbit. And it's a shame when you don't have to. Really don't have to. And people can sit up here and talk and tell you everything, all the stuff they want to tell you. But if they're not telling you how to get together and use your own money for yourselves and start thinking and doing things for yourself, then guess what? They're not helping you. You don't have to give somebody all your money, or if you do something, unless you just want to do that. That's fine. That's fine. But people that need money, they need help, not somebody just to sit and talk to them and make them feel good for a moment until they get the bill in the mail that they can't pay. But anyway, again, thank you so much uh, for listening. Have a great weekend. Global warming is here. They're talking about almost 100 degrees tomorrow, and this is May. For all you believers out there who don't think global warming is here, well, buckle up because it's here. I'm here to tell you. Anyway, thank you all very much. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to everyone later at another day next week. Thank you.